Welcome to the FNO InsureTech podcast, a place where movers and shakers from all points within the insurance ecosystem gather and discuss all things InsureTech. Here are your hosts, Lee Boyd and Rob Beller.
Hey, podcast world, it's us, the FNO InsureTech yo-yos. Rob Beller and Lee Boyd, sitting around, having a cocktail, enjoying a little prime rib. Opening presents, going to the New Year's parties, just having a good time.
Yeah, it's what you do during the holidays.
Because we wanted to goof off over these few weeks of the holidays, we are not doing any new episodes, but we have two episodes that we're going to be giving you from the vault. So enjoy them. And in the meantime, we hope and pray that you have a wonderful, terrific, blessed holiday season.
Yes.
Filled with love and good tidings. And we will see you right after the new year with an exciting new episode of FNO InsureTech. Isn't that right, Lee?
That is so right, Rob. Can't wait to be back with everybody. Enjoy the holidays and have a wonderful new year.
Hey, podcast world, welcome to a vanity edition.
Nice.
A vanity edition of FNO InsureTech. We are two of the most vain podcast hosts that there are. Right. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah.
I would agree. Agree. We like to talk about ourselves a lot.
Oh my God, don't we ever? Yeah. In fact, here, let's have a conversation about ourselves. Ready, go. There you have it, folks. That was about it.
That was about it?
That's as far as it goes. However,
but somebody wanted to interview us.
However, we got interviewed. That's right. AM Best, the titan in the rating space in insurance, reached out to us to ask us if we would be on one of their podcast episodes, video cast episodes.
Their TV, AM Best TV.
AM Best TV, and interview us about our podcast and how it happened and where it came from and everything else. And so we said yes.
We said yes. And it was a lot of fun. We got interviewed. It was a little nerve-wracking being interviewed. I apologize to all those guests that we've peppered with questions. You get a little nervous, but it was fun. We talked maybe about 14 minutes or so about the podcast, where it came from, its founding story, who would be a good guest, things like that. And we have it for you today to listen to.
Yeah, because we thought, we don't get enough attention.
Yeah, we wanted more airtime.
That's right. We're in the background. We're the question askers, not the question answerers.
That's right. This time we get to talk.
We get to talk. And I know that so many of you out there are thinking to yourself, gosh, I really wish that Lee and Rob would talk more.
You know what else? If a listener wants to, they can also watch AM Best TV and they can see what you and I look like.
That's right. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
And you can judge for yourself why we call Lee the smart one and me the cute one.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You make me feel great about that every time you say that. How about we stop jibber jabbering and let people listen to us talk about us?
Watch it. Can they watch it?
Go to AM. Yeah, I'm sure somewhere on this there is a link. Al's going to put something on there that you could click and watch the video. Of course, we want the download, so listen to it, and then you can get your second listen through the TV.
Absolutely. Without further ado, here is the interview of us on AM Best Television.
Hello, I'm Lee McDonald with AM Best TV, and today we're speaking with Rob Beller and Lee Boyd, best known for their podcast, the FNO InsureTech podcast. In a world where the average podcast falls well short of 10 episodes, they've already cleared the 200 mark, and they're gaining a following among the insurance, InsureTech, and investing sectors. So, Rob and Lee, welcome.
Thank you, Lee.
Why don't we'll talk about yourselves individually in a second, but why don't we start with the FNO podcast itself? What's the origin story there?
So in about 2018, we were working together, and both working for the same company and 470 Claims. And we became very interested in the concept of influencers and how one could become an influencer simply by a physical attribute you might have. You can become an influential person. And we thought, well, gosh, maybe we could become influential in the insurance industry on behalf of our company and kind of show our company as a technology forward, InsureTech knowledgeable company. And so Lee and I kind of put our heads together and thought, well, I wonder if we could find 10 people to interview, at all.
And I said, no way. There's no way we can find 10 people.
Yeah, there's not that many people who we could get to talk about this. And we went out, we found through my son, we found somebody who had some production knowledge, and we just kind of pieced it together in a very, very amateur way, like most podcasts, I think, are or begin. And we recorded a couple episodes, had some immediate failures, but nonetheless, we just stuck with it, and it was really enjoyable. And we got a lot out of it. What we learned is that we enjoyed it as much as the guests, and maybe even more than the audience. And so we just started up the very first of 2019. And so we're in our fourth or fifth year of doing it. Yeah. And 230 episodes.
That's interesting. And I'm one of your listeners. I would second what you said there. How about individually? Could you just tell us a little bit about each of you?
Sure, I'll go. I am Lee Boyd, and I'm a host here on the FNO InsureTech podcast. In my day job, I'm the vice president of TPA here at Alacrity Solutions. I started as the vice president of product innovation at 470 Claims whenever we had the podcast going. And it was Rob's idea to make us into an influencer, get us to be on the inside where we can innovate and we can show clients that we know what we're talking about. I've been in the insurance space for going on 18 years, always on the adjusting side, on the claim side. And as I said, I'm now on the TPA side here at Alacrity. Rob?
So I'm a senior vice president and client partner at Alacrity Solutions. I was a co-founder at 470 Claims, and our company was acquired by Alacrity in 2021. And I likely have stayed on with the company. I have done a couple different things in my career, but I've been in the insurance claims space, mostly property insurance claims space, for the past almost 25 years. And at Alacrity, I work mostly with existing clients, but also with new prospective clients in getting them on board to our range of services.
We'll get to your listeners in a second, but you've both mentioned Alacrity. Fill us in. What is Alacrity, and what part of the insurance space does it serve?
Rob, you want to take that one?
Sure. So Alacrity is a company, a multifaceted company that provides claims solutions in a wide range of different verticals inside of the insurance claims area. From our founding, we were primarily on the property side, but today we also are very, very involved in auto, in third-party administration, and other things. We have dedicated services in temporary housing, contents, field adjusting, desk adjusting, third-party administration, and we're one of the largest claim service companies in the nation.
Yeah, no, I think Rob hit it there. We really do. We provide a end-to-end solution in the claims area. So for outsourcing of claims from regular PNC type companies to private entities, to public entities. We handle claims of all sorts.
Actually, you may have just answered a question I was about to ask, which is I know the focus of your podcast is primarily on the InsureTech world, but you're there to serve traditional carriers and InsureTechs and MGAs. Is that say correctly?
You're spot on. You're spot on. We really want to serve anybody in the insurance ecosystem. And so we look at insurance. Early in the podcast, we learned the word ecosystem, and someone had referred to, I think maybe it was Ollie, had referred to the InsureTech and insurance world as an ecosystem. So all the different players come in, and we're there to serve all of them, not just the technology, not just the insurance, but anyone looking to get into the space of insurance, anyone who wants to learn more about insurance. All the conversations have a tilt towards the technology side, but insurance is huge. And whenever we started the podcast, we thought it was kind of big, but it wasn't until we started interviewing all the people that we realized how many different facets and pillars there are in this industry. So we really talk to all of them.
Okay. What could you tell us about your listeners? Who are they? What kind of jobs do they have? What do they want to know?
They're you, Lee.
So that's a good question. And we don't have as much information on that as we might like. But what we find is certainly it's people inside of our niche, which is insurance people, frequently ones that are more involved in the technology side of things, but it's very gratifying to us, particularly when we go to events or conferences, where we're frequently approached by people who say, "Hey, I wanted to say hi. I listen to your podcast. I really enjoy it," or "I don't enjoy it," or "Why don't you guys hang it up already?" But our listeners are mostly people involved in the insurance ecosystem, like Lee was saying, but from anywhere. In people who working inside of InsureTechs, carriers, other organizations that are carrier-like MGAs, for example. Am I leaving anybody out, Lee?
Well, we have people who want to listen. We just finished a VC and an investor segment where we talk to a lot of investing people with the money coming back into the industry. And so founders are listening to that, entrepreneurs, anybody who's wanting to start their own company, they come and listen. And then on the venture side or private equity side or investment side, they're listening to the podcast to listen to the founders, to listen to the new companies that are out there who might be changing the way that our business is done. So we find that the podcast is listened to really as a research tool, as somebody who's about to go talk to one of our previous guests. They're going to listen to the podcast to get the insight. We've been told that on numerous occasions that happens. But it's anybody who just wants to learn a little bit more, or is interested in a subject, or as we say, it's anybody who wants a good night's sleep. They can listen to it right beforehand.
Or we've even heard that some people listen to it while they're mowing their property.
Yeah, on a tractor.
We've heard that. Yeah.
I recommend noise canceling headphones and Bluetooth, and it works great. So I know you have a submission form for people who want to be guests, and I know you've had quite a few guests. So what is your ideal guest in terms of what they represent, what they like to talk about, as far as you know, and what would not be an appropriate guest for podcasts like yours?
Well, we've had both. We've had both. In fact, we even have had people who've kind of snuck on under a pretense that they were one kind of organization, but they were really just looking for a forum to get some promotion. But mostly, when we started, we were just focused on trying to get founders of of insurance technology companies, of InsureTechs on the podcast. Like Lee said, we discovered early on that this is that InsureTech is a big ecosystem of all kinds of different companies. So our ideal guests are people who live in that ecosystem, if you will, who contribute to it, who are key players. I mean, like, for example, we've had several times, one guest who we've had on maybe the most is Caribou Honig, who is one of the founders of InsureTech Connect. Very generous man and a great guest and a friend. And he's been on several times, even though he's not in InsureTech. He doesn't run an InsureTech. He doesn't even work in insurance. But he contributes to that ecosystem. And so that's what we're looking for. Anybody in there. Founders, I think for me, I'll speak for myself. Founders have a special place in my heart because I've been a founder. I know what that journey's like. And to be a founder in technology in the insurance space is tough, period. But it takes a lot of strength and determination to make that happen. And so those are the people. Did I leave anything out, Lee?
No, I'd just like to add that we're looking for anybody with a story to tell. We're looking for anybody who is really changing the landscape in insurance right now and has that story to tell. What is your founding story? Why are you here? What made you want to change the vertical? What made you want to improve upon something? We're looking for those. And we find that it's normally the leaders of the organization, the CEOs, the CFOs, the leaders who are really the most passionate about it and who can share the most insight. That's who we're looking for.
Okay. You have a front row seat at a lot of what's going on in InsureTech. And just give you a little bit of background, I was the co-organizer of one of the first what you might call InsureTech shows. That was called eFusion, which I invested. I did it with Paul Tinarello, and it was a great conference. I loved it, but that was 1999. You keep thinking of this as
cool.
And so we've seen, that was a dot-com bubble, and then you saw the bust, and then you saw, I don't know, we might be on, depending on how you count, third generation of InsureTech. What are you seeing these days in the InsureTech world, and is there any sense that it's different this time?
I think what I'm seeing is people are not trying to make as big of a splash as they originally were. I feel like a few years back, 5-6 years ago, it was brand new. We're going to disrupt. We're going to change the way insurance is. And now I think we hear we're going to better the way insurance is. We're going to improve it. I don't think people are saying we can turn this thing completely around because it's archaic and it's wrong. I think people say, you know what? Insurance is really hard and insurance companies really kind of know what they're doing, but we think that we could do things a little better. And that's within the big insurance companies. And that's within the startups, the founders, the new ones, the InsureTechs. I think everyone's saying we can do a little bit better or a lot bit better, but not we can do insurance completely different. Rob, what do you think?
I'll just add to that, when we started and even before that, and like you said, I mean, insurance technology is not brand new. It's not just since 2016. Right. There's companies like Xactware, now part of Verisk. But I mean, they were founded in the 80s. So there have been many people and many companies who've been integral to the evolution of insurance technology. But today we hear a lot about InsureTech 2.0, InsureTech 1.0, and how are 2.0 companies different? How are things different? I think one of the big things that we've heard frequently is that there's a lot more respect and empathy for the incumbent insurers, carriers than there was maybe 5 or 8 years ago, where everybody thought they were just slow and out of touch and could be disrupted, but insurance is not easy to disrupt. And so, like Lee said, what we're seeing in the InsureTech landscape today is more how can our technology improve how you do your business? We're not seeing quite as much action on trying to become InsureTech carriers, like the Hippos and the Kins of the world. I mean, because what they're learning is that's a very tough slog to make it through that. And so lots going on, tons going on, but more integrative as opposed to disruptive.
Okay. And for a final question, you've evolved this podcast over the past 200 some episodes. I imagine you see a kind of direction that it's taken. Spin it out a few years. Where do you see this going? Do you have any ambitions for any way it might change or the things it might embrace?
That's a tough one. I'm just so happy it's still going. I'm so happy that we still get to talk to everybody and that we have the conversations, and our production team of Alicia and Al are still with us and working hard on it all the time. I think moving forward, it continues to be a story. It continues to tell the story of the InsureTech world. We started this before COVID, pre-COVID, and we told the story of InsureTech through COVID. And you can go back and look at so many of the podcasts, and you can learn how did the insurance world adapt during COVID, the work at homes, all those things. Now we're traveling through a time where finances are a little bit harder to come, right? It's a little harder to get money. And I think that we just want to continue to tell that story and to be that voice of reason, that unbiased voice who's out there just to learn, just to talk to really interesting people, and be able to continue to tell that story. That's my thought.
This has been a side hustle for us from the beginning. And so we've never treated it as, hey, this is something that's going to make us some money or anything like that. And we continue to feel that way. We both enjoy our work at Alacrity and the support that we get from the company. And so I would say, as you look out into the future, I would say be on the lookout for our segment on the Today Show.
If we're dreaming.
We have crazy ideas all the time, but the fact is that we work for a living. And so this is one thing, and I didn't say this. And you bring up the fact that we have 230 episodes. It's hard to do. And like you said, most podcasts last for a very short time. It's hard. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of resources and a lot of people to put a single episode podcast on the air, let alone hundreds of them. And so we see ourselves continuing down the road that we're on, and maybe having some more guest hosts in the future, and so that we can rest ourselves a little bit.
Okay, well, congratulations on reaching those milestones. It's great. And thank you, Rob Beller and Lee Boyd of the FNO InsureTech podcast. I'm Lee McDonald with AM Best.